Hi guys, it's Kyle from Regrettable Props, and we've been making the last few pieces for the Urukai build, except for the helmet. That's the only thing we have left. And what we're going to be doing is cutting out this neck piece. This piece goes right below the neck. Some additional pieces that are rectangular like you see on screen. And these are the forearm wood armor pieces, and then those two circles as well. All those pieces I mentioned are done in 5mm craft foam. I know the rectangular piece says ×6, but it's actually ×12. And then we're going to score it afterwards. And then we're going to be making this leather piece. It's going to be faux leather, 2mm craft foam. I provide you with the left half of the template, so you have to glue tape the two pieces together and then flip it. And then we have these 4 pieces, as well as that long circular oval piece. We need to add some additional trim pieces using the same 2mm craft foam, about 1 centimeter wide, adding that strip around the base or the outside edge of it, and for those 4 pieces only on the curved portion. And then we're going to make it look like faux leather once again by using tin foil, crumpling up and then flattening out and heating up with a iron. Then I covered each of those 2mm foam pieces in 2 coats of plastic mixed with Modge Podge, and then I did a base coat of brown. I let that dry. I mixed some darker brown in areas that were inconsistent, and when I was still wet, I added some tan and blended it with my hands. And once that had dried, I used that same initial tan to highlight the edging of the trim. I got the styrofoam Circle O piece from the art and craft store, about 6 inches in diameter. Gave it a dry brushing coat, initial base coat of a lighter brown, and I covered it in a darker brown. And then once that had dried, I did a brown mix of orange to get some highlights, and I did that inconsistently around that circle. Afterwards, we're going to have to use some threading to make it look like we have some stitching within this faux leather piece, and it's only being done in the trim section. And you're going to use a lighter thread than what you did for the paint to make your foam look like leather. That way there's a bit of contrast and you're able to see it on the outside edge amongst that dry brushing, and that way it stands out. And we're just going to do this for all 4 of these pieces that look like the one you currently see on screen, and then as well as that longer ovalish piece. I don't know the proper terminology for it, but it's like a track that you would run on at the Olympics. And then afterwards, here you can see the final bit once it's all painted and has the tinfoil done and the stitching. It looks pretty decent, a lot better than the first attempt at making leather. And then where these pieces are going to go are on the edges or the sides of the front and the back plates. They're starting from the second white piece like you see on top, on the top plate. If you can just based off the video, you can see roughly where you're going to be wanting it to hot glue it to those front plates and the back plate. And then what we're going to do now is, so that we connect these pieces together, is we're going to use Velcro, and I just hot glued it, the Velcro to the leather. That way it's able to connect it to the sides, and then here you can see once it's done and you have had it glued, what it'll look like roughly. And currently you see it's attached on the sides with just some Velcro. We got the front and back plate. It's holding it pretty well. Here you can see I got some mobility still. And what we're going to be doing now is connecting the shoulder pieces to that the arm pieces that connect to that piece that rides close to your neck/shoulder area. I'm just using the same twine I used for doing all the wrapping, except I'm not cutting it and taking it apart the strands. And then we're just gonna tape it or hot glue those pieces. You guys can get an estimate for how it needs to sit on your arm, but it needs to sit pretty high up on your arm, near the top of your shoulder, if that gives you an idea. And then we're going to be using the same rope to make some rings like you currently see, to have my arm go through. And here you can see the placement on screen where you'll need to do it for yourself, obviously depending on your arm size or how you want it to fit within your clothing. Make sure, if you're going to be doing this whole build and having the fabric portion, you leave a little bit of a gap, because whatever material you use for the clothing is going to need to be accounted for. Afterwards, we're going to be adding some fabric to the shin guards. That way we're able to attach them to our legs. There's 5 pieces you need to cut out, approximately 1 inch in width, maybe 2 to 3 feet in length. There's going to be three on the left shin, and then obviously 2 on the right. And based off the fabric I bought to make it match the painting I did, I had to age it a bit, and what I used was hot water, coffee grinds, and like 3 tea bags. And obviously the longer you let it soak, the darker it's going to be. If you are fortunate enough to buy fabric that matches your paint, perfect. But there you can see the contrast between the initial and what we did afterwards. And what afterwards, doing all that, we're going to hot glue it in a place that we're able to tie it around our legs. So we're just going to hot glue it, those pieces in the areas that I indicated on screen. And what we're going to do for these last final pieces, well, actually those neck seal pieces, I went outside using soldering iron to get those holes through, because after heat sealing all these pieces and painting, you're going to be doing the threading. Those circle pieces, I just made kind of whatever design I did. I put a hole through them and then did some inner rings and then some lines that were spiraling outwards. You can kind of do wherever you want, since it's hard to see since it's under so much armor for the piece. So after doing that, heat sealing everything, soldering the holes through for the neck pieces, I did about 2 coats of Modge Podge mixed with black paint. You guys can obviously use whatever sealant you have. And then for these wood pieces, of the 12 wood pieces, I did an initial dark brown base, and then I mixed that in brown with orange to get some highlights, so that way you can tell some distinction with the grain. The neck seal pieces, I did an initial base color of brown and orange, so it starts off lighter, and I'm gonna build that base color of paint up with some more, adding more orange to it, so it's lighter than these wood pieces, since it's hard to tell whether that piece is actually wood or not. But anyways, follow along for the rest of the painting. It's pretty straightforward, and I'll touch in with you guys when we do a bit more detail. You've seen me done it previous times in videos before, cutting my rope, taking apart the 3 strands, and then looping it through, and then hot gluing it and cutting off the excess. I've done in all the art builds for this Orkai. These pieces are actually going to be hot glued together. The smaller piece is going to be behind the bigger piece, like you currently see on screen. And what I did for those circle pieces is I just painted them with some flat black, and what I'm currently doing is just dry brushing some silver. Anyways, guys, it's been Kyle from Regrettable Props. This has been almost all the armor. This has been all the armor pieces except for the helmet. Templates are once again going to be located in the description. I hope you guys were able to follow along. There's a lot to cover within this video, so if you have any comments, please post them. If I'm not able to get back to you because of YouTube, send me a message on my Facebook page. That'll also be linked in the description. Anyways, it's been Kyle, and hope you guys have a good day. Bye.